more a crucial first 20 minutes, I reckon, because they'll probably take that new ball now that the fast bowlers have had a little bit of a rest. Maybe they'll have a little look at the old one and see if it's still reversing. But we saw yesterday there were about 6 overs with the new ball where there was a bit of a lift and a bit of seam movement, and then after that it quietly handed in its resignation and left the ground.
Yes, there was 2 slips for 4 or 5 overs, then there was 1 slip, then there were no slips. So I'm not sure whether it'll get a huge amount of assistance. The track looks almost unmarked. Peter Lawler remarked yesterday that in India, after half an hour, they're already scratched up on the side of the pitch where the footmarks normally would be, but there is barely a footmark on the pitch so far, so it will remain just as true as it was yesterday, presumably.
Well, absolutely, you'd think so, looking at it from here, and had a look on the ground earlier. It's this sort of uniform beige colour from one end to the other. The only blemishes are right at the very side of the pitch, maybe where a short leg or someone might be positioned, so nowhere that the bowler can usefully land the ball. So it's going to be pretty tough going, and Australia desperately need to grab a couple of wickets in that first hour or so to be able to put some pressure on. If not, Pakistan will cruise pretty serenely past 300 and on towards 400.
Umpires Richard Kettleborough and Richard Illingworth are making their way to the middle ahead of the players. One thing perhaps, Jeff, that might be in the favour of the Australians is on the available evidence of what we had this morning, it doesn't appear to be as hot as it was over the last couple of days.
No, well, we had a short walk into the ground, which on previous days has been enough to very nearly kill us. And today it just felt like a sort of hot Australian summer day. So within the realms of survivability, although I might add that was at about 8:30 in the morning, so it's probably going to be a different story come midday, 1 p.m, 2 p.m.
So we have Harris Sohail, who will resume on 15, and Mohammad Abbas, the night watchman, on 1. To our left of our commentary position, they're just waiting to walk the blue carpet, as it is, onto the ground. And to our right, Tim Payne is giving a final rev up to his charges. I'm sure his message will be, come on boys, let's hit the top of off stuff, as it tends to be.
Let's work hard and get these blanks out.
Let's work hard. So they're going into an arm-in-arm ring before they cross the line and walk down that blue carpet as well. The umpires are ready to roll. We heard from Peter Siddle last night. Jeff, you had a chat to him. He was elated at being back in this test side, bowling so frugally, picking up that really important breakthrough of Mohammad Hafeez, albeit after he made 126. But at that stage of the game, the scoring rate had slowed down, and that was the catalyst for a really important session for Australia.
Yeah, he's joked that he perhaps wasn't so delighted to get back in the side when he heard they were coming to the UAE, but really he was very, very happy about it, and said that he'd enjoyed the difficulty of it in a perverse sort of way. He'd felt that the amount of hard work he had to do out there and battling through 15 overs in that heat and going at barely more than a run and over, he was so economical. He just enjoyed every bit of that.
That cheering you can hear through the effects mic, which we have got operational today so far in any case, is some school children out to our left, and due to the way the stadium is so, well, it's so big yet so few people, that makes quite a lot of noise. So welcome to those kids there enjoying their day.
They've probably got a microphone relatively close to their position, I reckon, and so it's coming through there. So, yeah, hopefully the effects line holds up, but fingers crossed on that one.
Jeff, we'll welcome you back in about 10 minutes' time. For the time being, it will be Bazid Khan joining me in the summariser chair for the first ball of this second day at Dubai International Cricket Ground. Peter Siddle looks to be the man who'll be doing the work from the get-go. The question is whether he has the second new ball in his mitts. Trying to get a sense from where we're standing. Doesn't look to be, so at least for the start of this over, they'll be operating with the old ball, which of course is 90 overs old, but was reversing quite neatly ahead of stumps last night. Bazid Khan, good morning.
Morning, and it's another pleasant morning, isn't it? Not too hot for you?
No, I thought this morning was quite temperate.
Especially in the shade.
Yeah, the shade or the air-conditioned box where Louis Cameron, one of our fellow callers, was wearing a jumper yesterday. The first man to ever do that in the UAE, I fancy. Here's Peter Siddle. First ball of the day to Harris Sohail. One slip in a gully. On his approach, around the wicket, delivers. Sohail clipping through mid-wicket. He'll get at least one. He'll look for two. And he takes it. Well timed. So, Sohail who resumed on 15 moves to 17, and Pakistan 257 for 3.
We're quite interested in what the Australians come up with in terms of tactics. Do they take the new ball relatively early? It was reversing yesterday, and also the fact the ball was so soft, it was difficult to score off. Maybe the Pakistan batsman would like the new ball just coming on a little bit more to the bat and make run scoring easier.
Already a small tweak to the field, straightening up that mid-wicket. Siddle bowls again to Haris Sohail, who drives into the extra cover region. No score there, but again, 2 balls today, 2 balls have hit right on the middle of the bats.
Yeah, nothing different. Pitch still very, very good. Walked on it early morning and it was very hard, so very little scuff marks or what you call foot marks, wear and tear. So it's still, I think still it'll be very decent today, even through to tomorrow. So just Australia need to concentrate real hard.
Siddle, one slip in a gully, bowls around the wicket. Haris Sohail again drives towards cover, no run. Yes, we were talking about that on the build-up, that there are no foot marks, no scuff marks to be seen. But we also know that Test matches finish in a hurry at Dubai. We talked a bit on the coverage yesterday about how low the second innings is related to the first innings in Test matches here. When do we expect the cracks to open up? When does it start to get rough and ready for a batsman?
Well, basically the 4th day onwards you'd see more deterioration. It's still very hard, so today and tomorrow would still be very good for batting.
Siddle bowls, Haris Sohail leading outside the off stump.
And then it'll start to sort of deteriorate, and it'll start to give you patches where bowlers can bowl into and get that spin or get that uneven bounce. There's not so much uneven bounce, but exaggerated spin which creeps into the game. And even now, Yasir Shah loves bowling round the wicket to the left-hander. So that patch, just there where still if he bowls over the wicket, he runs there. That develops very quickly.
Siddle on the way once more. He bowls. Digging out a full ball is Haris Sohail, past point, gets 1. Good diving stop from line, keeping it to a single. He is now 18, Pakistan 258 for 3. Yes, we remember Yasir Shah's debut here 4 years ago in this corresponding fixture, when he turned it square and took 7 wickets and made Australia immediately start wondering, who's this bloke? It's a new Shane Warne. Indeed, there were headlines like that in Australian newspapers.
Yeah, I think they've seen a bit of him now, but again, it's more. I reckon it's more difficult for the Australian batsman to get used to the pace rather than the spin here.
Peter Siddle, first ball of the day from Mohammad Hafeez, beats him. And that's past the inside edge, I fancy. That's the end of the over, the first of the day. Pakistan adding 3 to their overnight score. They're 258 for 3. Haris Sohail is 18. Mohammad Hafeez remains on 1. This first session of Wisden.com Test Cricket, as ever, will be brought to you by We'll start again, shall we? Don't want to stuff it up first time of the day, Bassett. CBus Super, of course, building a future we can all be proud of.
And that series, if you remember, spinners bowled a lot of overs. It was Yasir Shah and a left-arm spinner called Zulfikar Babar who did well in that series. But the thing that Australian batsmen really struggled with was the pace of the ball rather than the spin. They were going at the ball. And it's difficult here because the ball never arrives. So you have to give yourself that extra time to try and deal with that pace. And they never got used to it in both the matches. So it'll rather be the pace that'll trouble them off the pitch rather than the exaggerated spin which will occur later on.
Mitchell Starc will be operating from the Emirates Road end. The off stump taken by Payne.
Interesting, last night he got cramps and he was still bowling and he was what? That's a bit dangerous, but apparently they have some drink.
Yes, the pickle juice.
Pickle juice. And it tastes awesome. I reckon this would be beautiful.
I've often wondered whether I should get myself into that, just to test that out. Jeff and I were speculating on the post-game wrap last night that he took a shot of it at the top of his mark before the final ball. Does it work that quickly? And if it does work that quickly, where can I get some?
I reckon he was too late. Once they start setting in, then...
He was in all sorts. Starc here, Haris Sohail pushing through cover, hits it well but stopped. Travis Head moving to his right. Good bit of fielding. Prevents a run from being taken. It remains 258 for 3.
So you actually have to take it before the cramps set in, because once they set in, you can't really reverse them. It's getting those whatever fluid intake or.
Which is fantastic news. We found a solution to the effects mic issue which plagued us yesterday, so we can hear the Australians out in the middle between balls. Mitchell Starc on the way, bowls to Harris Hale over the wicket, defends out to cover. No run. Not a lot of swing to speak of the reverse variety. It might just mean that we see this second new ball pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I reckon they might be thinking that, okay, we get Abbas out, and then we'll have a proper batsman in, and then use that new ball. That might come into their thinking as well, because if Abbas is still there, he might stick around for a couple of overs, and the new ball the swing goes extremely quickly here in Dubai.
So one slip, a gully, a couple of catching mid-wickets. Starc bowls Harris Hale, it's full, digging out to cover. Travis Head again does the fielding. Oh, it was a misfield. They consider one, but think better of it. We talked briefly about Mohammad Hafeez's batting last night. You say his defence is suitable as a night watchman. His numbers aren't too crash hot though, really, are they?
Well, that's number 11, yes. So there's a clue in that.
But normally your night watchman wouldn't be your 11, right? Normally your night watchman's a 7 or an 8, a punchy number 9 maybe.
Yeah, but they think that their 7, 8 or even 9 can get them a test match 50, so they want to protect them as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Think about the people that have been used as night watchmen over the years. Starc goes again. Harris Hale off the back foot, this time punching the cover. No
Jason
run.
Gillespie.
Famously Jason Gillespie, who will talk to at some stage on the coverage, I'm sure.
Never played a test match again.
Did not. Double 100 on the way out, unbeaten. What a way to do it. He gives grief to his former colleagues who never made it to 200, including Mark Waugh, famously. Ian Healy, I remember as a young lad, he was often sent out just before stumps to go and do the spade work there, the former Australian wicketkeeper. Nathan Lyon is the man that typically gets the job in this Australian team now. It's funny how they go in and out of fashion as well, isn't it? Mitchell Starc, one ball to come in his first over of the morning to Harris Hale. It's a bouncer, a good one, on target, but he ducks well. So the end of the 92nd over of the Pakistani innings, that was a maiden, 258 for 3. Adam Collins and Bazid Khan with you on the call. This first session brought to you by Misbah Super, for everyone in building and construction. Just watching to see if we can see the fourth official, second new ball, although in saying that, it would be probably in the umpire's pocket, I'd imagine, knowing how likely it is it'll be taken, but not yet, it would seem. Pete Siddle given another chance to try and get some of that precious reverse swing. He'll get a chance at the night watchman. After that is the first slip jumps to where he should be. I think it's Shaun Marsh's move there, actually. It's interesting that Aaron Finch was the sole slip yesterday, but Shaun Marsh was at leg slip. He was like, no, it's a right-hander, mate. Siddle bowls here and beats Abbas first ball of the over. You don't see that very often in professional cricket. The slip lining up on the wrong side and told by the keeper, hey, mate, get over. He's a right-hander.
Just tells you how hot it is out there. Just on that night watchman issue, there's a fast bowler just coming through the ranks for Pakistan, Shaheen Shah Afridi.
Oh yeah,
he's bowls with good wheels. His brother played for Pakistan. He was called Riaz Afridi. He just played that one test match against Sri Lanka at Karachi.
Siddle to Mohammad Hafeez. That's full. Nipped back towards the right-hander, but he was up to the task defending out to cover.
And he was sent in as night watchman. And his batting he was a power hitter. So he went there, spinners on, smashes the second or third delivery for a 6, and then tries to hit one again and gets out of the boundary.
Who else has been the Pakistani night watchman over the journey? Who have you had who've strapped him on and walked out at 5 minutes to 6?
Yasir Shah till recently would do the job.
Siddle bowls, Mohammad Hafeez. Oh, shout for leg before, but only the bowler's interested. Looks like he took the pace off that, rolled the fingers down the seam. The ball spat out towards the leg side and no leg by was taken, so it remains 258 for 3.
So I'm thinking leg spinners. Mushtaq Ahmed did the job a few times as well in that 90s team. And recently, well, I think Wahab Riaz did it once or twice, but it was more Yasir Shah than anything else.
So Siddle, one slip in the gully. Abbas leaving outside the off stump. Of course, Yasir played that fantastic innings alongside Asad Shafiq in Brisbane a couple of years ago when they were chasing a world record score and got ever so close to it. I remember going down, Jeff and I went down to the Pakistani race to watch the response of the supporters down as those last couple of wickets fell. It was very emotional, knowing how close they came, how proud they were of their side, and Yasir Shah was in tears as he walked off the ground. It was a very special moment. Asad Shafiq, one of the best hundreds I've ever seen, under the lights of the Gabba. Pink ball, Pete Siddle here, bowls, defending his Abbas, back to the bowler, no run.
Yeah, it would have been the best chase ever. It's just, everybody was, the time difference, you have to wake up very early in the morning, Pakistan, but everybody following that game, and nobody gave them a chance in the fourth innings, and suddenly all of whoever you talked to said, oh, we're going to do this, and as it got closer, people thought, no, maybe we're not going to do this, because they weren't used to getting so close.
Tell you what, they would have smashed the world record. It would have been like Usain Bolt, the 2008 Olympics. It would have been broken by that far. Last ball to Siddle over, it's a Yorker, dug out by Abbas. So, consecutive maidens for Australia. Well played by the night watchman. Pakistan at 258 for 3. This first session brought to you by Misbah Super, building a future we can all be proud of. After a couple of additional words from Bazid Khan, it will be Jeff Lemon.
So far, no news of the new ball. They're persevering with that old ball, and Abbas is persevering with adding to that frustration for the Australians. 258 for 3. Haris Sohail, he's looking pretty solid so far, but new ball around the corner, that'll probably be the game changer. Probably if Australians still looking at a wicket or two or in this initial 45 minutes, because otherwise then there's another long day in the field.
Mitchell Starc looking for exactly that wicket, striding in to bowl a left arm over, and Haris Sohail is defending back down the pitch to the bowler. The word in from our analyst Ben Jones is that opening with pace is all well and good, but Mohammad Abbas averages 10 against pace and 1 against spin bowling. So perhaps they should have opened with some slower stuff with the old ball. I'm not sure if that's because he just tries to hit everything out of the park, or
I've never seen him hit a shot in anger. He just defends. He got out, remember, in West Indies with Misbah on 99.
Haris Sohail just glancing one off the pads down towards fine leg, doesn't make great contact, and the ball rather limps away towards Siddle. He's picked up, go through for a single. So 259 for 3. Haris Sohail 19 off 66. And Abbas on 1. Yes, they didn't have a happy time of it, the Pakistan tailenders in the West Indies, a few different occasions.
West Indies, I remember, it was Misbah and Younis' last series. If I remember correctly, one game Misbah got 99 and Holder got him out, and the other game he was on the non-strikers end, and it was a spinner who got Abbas out. Abbas was the 11th man, so 2 consecutive test matches, one stranded on 99 and the other one he got out on 99.
But then eventually there was that revenge, that moment with Shannon Gabriel playing that shot against Yasir Shah
wonderful series.
To chop onto his stumps. Mitchell Starc around the wicket, short ball to Mohammad Abbas, who goes down underneath it. Got out of the way quickly enough, and Tim Payne took that a bit down the leg side. Yes, one of those amazing moments in cricket with, 3 balls remaining in the test.
He defended really well for the first 3 balls, and it was just a Gabriel moment, just one short leg with sort of 7 players around the bat, or 6 players, something ridiculous than that. And if he'd left it alone, it would have missed the off stump by quite a distance.
it was Younis Khan at slip, wasn't it, who said bowl one wide and see if he goes for it, and so that's what happened.
He cleared that up. It was a myth that
defending from Mohammad Abbas
in the
full ball
press conference. Younis said I was telling him to bowl a flipper into the stumps to get an LBW. It wasn't what it looked like.
Surely if you're playing your last test match going out with a win, you're allowed to perpetuate the myth. Come on.
But he didn't. There's another one, the famous one about Gibbs dropping that catch in the World Cup, you dropped the World Cup.
Yes, Steve Waugh has corrected the record many times, but it doesn't matter. No one believes him. They all keep telling the story.
Yeah, never let the truth come.
Get in the way of a good story. That's the one. Stark striding in. Mohammad Abbas, left arm around, quick outside the off stump in that channel, just trying to lure a shot, but Abbas will not be moved. But just one of those tremendously exciting moments of Test cricket, and Fazil Muhammad's famous line of commentary. Why did he do that? And that is the question Shannon Gabriel may still be asking himself to this day. A huge swing outside off stump with a couple of balls left to try to save a Test match. Chopped it on, and the rest was history. So Yasir Shah will be turning out for Pakistan in the second innings of this match. We watched him bowling during the lunch break yesterday, and with the tea break he looked tremendous. Stark just outside the off stump in that channel, trying to tease Abbas into a drive, but Abbas will not be moved. The end of the over, 259 for 3. Australia looking for that breakthrough early on this second morning, just to give them a lift, just to give them the sense that they can fight their way further back into this match, at least to remove the night watchman and have a couple of specialist batsmen at the crease.
I'm impressed by the way Australians have fought throughout the day yesterday. They stuck to their lines and lengths and stuck to their plans, and yes, it was difficult. Yes, the openers got a massive partnership, but the way they came back in the final session just gives you a testament to their mental strength and also their physical fitness, because the final session, you're behind the 8 ball, behind it big time, and to come back and have a session that's brilliant.
Peter Siddle coming in from our commentary end, the Dubai Sports City end of the ground, outside the off stump, firmly met in defence by Haris Sahal. And yeah, you're absolutely right. That third session is when you expect the bowling team to fall apart.
Yeah.
That's when they've been out there for that many hours, especially when they haven't taken a wicket in 2 sessions. You just thought, Pakistan could have absolutely cashed in. It could have been 200 for Hafeez by stumps.
Yeah.
If they just launched, and he looked like he might be going to. He played a few beautiful cover drives. He was slashing Mitchell Starc through third man, and it really looked dangerous. So to be able to drag their way back into that match as Siddle bowls around the wicket to Sohail, turning that off his pads out towards deep mid-wicket for a single, 260 for 3. Nathan Lyon first, just finding that edge, that little bit of extra bounce, making Imam ul Haq cut too close to his body, and then Siddle getting some reverse swing to trap Mohammad Hafeez, the Centurion, and Azhar Ali holing out against John Holland, trying to attack the junior spinner before stumps, and suddenly they'd found their way back into the game, and only 55 runs conceded in the session.
That was the most impressive part, to be able to restrict Pakistan.
Outside the off stump, Siddle bowling to Mohammad Abbas, who just strives to cover no run.
The other thing that I'm personally very interested to see is how the Australians come out and bat. In that series, refer back to that series, we saw them try and attack the spinners and try and get on with it. It's not going to happen here in Dubai because the pitches don't allow it, because the ball doesn't come on. So you have to give yourself loads of time. Patience, again, is the key for batting, and over here especially. So they'll have to curb that. Will they be able to do that?
Siddle steaming in at the stumps and right through him. He has bowled Mohammad Abbas neck and crop. That one hit a middle and off. It went past the inside edge. He was groping forward at that, and the stumps are in disarray. Peter Siddle has his second wicket, and they have removed the pesky night watchman. It can be so frustrating for a bowling side if the night watchman can bat on for an hour or 2 hours the next morning. They've managed to cut that off. They've got a 4th wicket in the book. It's not a true reflection being a tail end wicket, but at least being able to look up and see 4 on the board makes you feel a bit better than 3, and that was a cracking delivery from Peter Siddle in the end.
Yeah, terrific delivery. Didn't need the spinner to get rid of the night watchman. The fast bowler does it. Abbas out for 1, so he's averaged 1 against pace in this game, but terrific reverse swing. The shine was on the outside, so he's trying to swing it away. Just straightened a little. It's a terrific delivery to any batsman, let alone a number 11. So finally they get rid of that night watchman, and Asad Shafiq walks out. He's not got a great average when he plays against the new ball straight away. So will the Australians take the new ball now? Siddle gets his man. 4 down now. So just a bit of relief, you could say, or a bit of excitement for the faster men now with the new ball looming.
Well, he's been in tremendous form of late in domestic cricket. Asad Shafiq has been making plenty of runs and made runs in the warm-up match as well. So he's in good touch. And of course, as Adam mentioned a few minutes ago, he's got memories of that 100 in Brisbane and just how well he played there. So he's had his successes against Australia. He won't be shy, and he's got a full day under bright sunshine to try to tire out this Australian attack. But Siddle bowling well. He's not necessarily noted for his reverse swing, but we spoke to him after play yesterday, and he's always had that ability to reverse the ball. He's just not necessarily famous for it. And he said, well, when you're in a side with 2 other really good fast bowlers who reverse the ball, as he's been for most of his career, you don't necessarily get the opportunity to use the ball when it's going. But he had it in his hand when it started to reverse last night and made the best of it, and he's done so again this morning. He's steaming away again, bowling to Asad Shafiq, who's covering up outside the off stump, pushing the ball away to point. There's no run. 260 for 4.
I'll tell you this, that Asad Shafiq, you talked about his form, and Hafeez also coming into this test match in form, and Hafeez batted beautifully. He came into this test match with a double 100 to his name in a first-class game, and in this season, Asad Shafiq as well, he's the other batsman who's got a double 100. So if he can replicate what Hafeez did, well, it'll be happy days.
Siddle bowling to Shafiq, defending away to the onside. There's no run. Yes, he had a little hot streak in domestic cricket. Scores of 62, 59, 27, 22, 32 not out, 50, 52, 88, 221 not out, 36, and then he made 14 and 69 in the warm-up match. So that's his recent run. Can't ask too much more than that.
Yeah, and you come into a test match with those kinds of runs on a batting-friendly pitch, it sort of gives you a little bit of security. You don't really look for runs because you know that you're in form and you're playing the ball well, you're confident, and on these pitches you need that, because starting on these pitches is difficult. It becomes easier as the game rolls on or your innings goes deeper, but the starting bit is the difficult one, and form is good.
Stark starting off a new over, bowling full, driven down to mid-off, and there's no run. You're listening to Wisden.com Test Match Cricket. My name's Jeff Lemon. Buzzid Khan is alongside me, and this first session brought to you by Cbus Super. For everyone in building and construction, look them up if you're after superannuation. 260 for 4 Pakistan's score, and 95. They've got a couple of stories, and now they're adding the terrace on top, I suppose. Full from Stark and straight at the stumps, and Sohail defends that away to mid-wicket, where Aaron Finch is providing the roadblock. So Sean Marsh at first slip, where he spends a fair bit of time. He's not the most agile in the field because he's had some back problems over the years and hamstring complaints and so on, so they try to keep him somewhere where he doesn't have to run around too much. Usman Khawaja in the gully, not necessarily famously the sort of cricketer who's going to launch into the air of 3 metres to his left and take a screamer, but he's got a decent pair of hands. Stark striding into Sohail outside the off stump, shouldering arms, happy to leave that on the width and not be drawn into a stroke. So they've got a deep point for Haris Sohail, which is interesting. They might have identified that as his release shot to chop the ball away out there. So they want to make sure there's no boundary for him. And there's a regulation cover, mid-off, mid-on, and a deep square leg. So 2 out, square of the wicket either side. And there's a fine leg as well just off the field at the moment. Chatting to the bowling coach, it looks like. Is that Peter Siddle down there? Mitchell Starc bowls outside the off stump, full, driven away into the covers. That sweeper will get around and cut it off. They want to come back for the second run, or Sohail does, but Asad Shafiq says, no way, my friend, stay at home. And so they settle for the single, and that sweeper does that job of at least keeping the boundary away. And that was something that we spoke about yesterday. You said that Misbah Haq was so good at protecting those boundaries as well as keeping close catches in, and it just makes a big difference if you can make sure that there's not the occasional 4 to help the batsman boost his score. It's 261 for 4.
Especially on flat pitches. The one thing that I've not seen as yet is they've not tested Haris Sohail out with the bouncer.
Asad Shafiq awaiting Starc around the wicket, forward defensive stroke into the covers, no run.
They bowled pretty full to him, and he's looked solid there, but with Mitchell Starc's space, he's the one who can probably do that and test him out with the bouncer. That just a couple of balls ago, before Haris Sohail got that single, the square leg was out, but still Starc bowling full. Maybe the new ball, the harder ball, he might test him out, but we haven't seen anything yet.
Starc is considering his options to Asad Shafiq, diminutive batsman. Starc coming in from the Emirates Road end, tall and rangy, bowling outside the off stump, and that one just seemed to cut back a touch off the pitch. I wonder if that was an optical illusion. It was wide enough of the off stump that Shafiq was happy to leave it alone, but there just seemed to be a little bit of deviation there.
Yeah, it is reversing, and there's a little bit for Siddle as well. They're sticking to that older ball. Just the one advantage they do have with this older ball, that is quite soft, so there's no chance of either of these batsmen really getting after the bowling or timing it away to the fence.
Flashing one away.
Yeah. The other part is that the harder ball might just swing a little bit more. It might just, even for the spinners, the harder ball will maybe grip a little bit more. Again, Zulfikar Babar in the UAE, left-arm spinner, he loved bowling with the new ball. He thought that he'd get more purchase with the new ball, and it would skid more and turn more when it hit the seam, and he was more potent with that.
And potentially a bit more bounce as well. If you, like Nathan Lyon, if you flight it up and drops, then the harder ball bounces a little more. Siddle round the wicket to Sohail, no run, left alone outside off. We saw Nathan Lyon bowl beautifully with the new ball in South Africa earlier this year. He took it early in a couple of test matches and took wickets. Was it in Durban? I think he got Dean Elgar and Hashim Amla out within the space of an over, bowling in the 8th over of the innings. So he's relished that opportunity when he's had it as well, and it is about bounce with Lyon, because he would take his wickets from, I think, Elgar from the leading edge, Amla splicing it to short leg, just both of them not quite managing the bounce of the bowler. As Siddle delivers straight at the stumps and Sohail drives down to mid-on, no run.
But with the plan, I think Australia are doing, with Siddle especially, he's got a very straight field set. He's got a short catching man at short cover, a short mid-wicket, and the mid-off and mid-on are pretty straight. And he's bowling from round the wicket and bowling pretty full, so he's making sure that he doesn't give Haris Sohail any width whatsoever to work with, and that is probably the plan, is just to bowl as straight as possible. If there's a little bit of work, hone in on the pads.
Doing exactly that with this delivery, just as Bazid Khan described. It's driven to mid-wicket, a short mid-wicket position, and there's no run. So I suppose they feel that if they can bowl that line straight at him, it's very difficult for him to score. There are no singles from those deliveries, and they can just keep blowing out that count of his balls faced and see if they can frustrate Haris Sohail to the point that he does something reckless and makes a mistake.
Yeah, just looking ahead, you feel that the toss is so important, especially here in the UAE with these flat pitches.
Siddle bowling to Sohail, driving to short cover, stopped there, no run.
Pakistan bat first, and they get a decent first inning total, and then we saw yesterday the ball reversed quite a lot. Wahab Riaz is an excellent exponent of that, and then the spinners also come into play. But fact of the matter is, once you get those runs on the board, that more than anything else will play on the Australians' mind to actually play catch-up cricket. And that's been the the blueprint for Pakistan winning Test matches is bat first, big runs, and then go from there.
Siddle bowling straight at the stumps once again, driven down to mid-on. The plan continues exactly as placed. 261 for 4, 1 ball to come in the 97th over.
What do you reckon the Australians would have done last night after the...
I think got straight into the ice bath with no complaints for the first time in their careers, probably. No, Peter Siddle was in great spirits. He did the press conference, he came out and spoke to us, and you'd expect at the end of a long, hot day the player would be not interested at all, but he was very happy to have a chat, a big smile on his face, and was just glad to be here. The bowls just outside the off stump, driven to cover. There's no run. It's the end of the over. 261 for 4 here on Wisden.com Test Cricket. So, I imagine they would have been into the air conditioning as soon as possible. We're having a change in the commentary. I'm going to make way for Adam Collins, and then Bazid Khan will be swapping with Peter Lawler.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Peter Siddle having taken his 213th Test wicket. And I was just remarking at the back of the box, Peter Lawler, as I welcome the Australian Cricket's correspondent for the first time today. Who took 212 Test wickets, Pete?
Victorian?
He was a Victorian. Some would say, Bill Laurie would say, he was the greatest Victorian to be a Victorian.
He's usually here, isn't he, in some capacity or other, leading a bus tour or something. That'd be big Swerve and Mervyn Hughes, I reckon you're talking about there.
Merv. Yes, we are. Merv Hughes took 212. Peter Siddle has now got 213. I remember when Siddle started his career, there was a lot of comparisons to MG Hughes, so nice little milestone for him to overcome there. A bit more on Siddle after this Stark delivery. Bowls, Asad Shafiq. Out to point. Knows the call, but the non-striker Harris was fancying a run there for a moment. He was sent back, and had it been a direct hit, he would have been safe, but, well, there was no run there, that's for sure. 261 for 4 is the Pakistan score. 7.1 overs into this second day.
So a wicket already, which is important.
Yes.
Because they had to get off to a positive start, Australia.
Absolutely.
They really need to get inroads this morning. They've got to get them out. They can't. They don't want to be bowling in the third session today.
Yeah, it's like a break-even tee, isn't it? If they can bowl them out by a tee, I think they take that.
But I was accused of being overly positive about their situation last night. But I think to come back from none for 202, get 3 for 56 in that last session, and you'd know off how many overs because you're that sort of guy. 29. Thank you. That was a great response and a really heroic effort from a bowling attack. I mean, they had to help Stark up in his penultimate over off the ground. He was cramping from his groin to his toes. Who's ever cramped in their groin?
Oh, yeah.
I've never had that much fun.
Our producer Andrew Donaldson put his hand up to our
right. They got him up, and we'll talk later about how they got him up. But yes, you're right. Back to Swerve and Mervyn and Pete Siddle.
Yes, after this Mitchell Stark delivery, the previous ball was punched out to mid-wicket. He bowls again here to Asad Shafiq, yet to get off the mark, leaving outside the off-stump. Bit of movement away from the right-hander after it pitched. That's encouraging for Stark going around the wicket. So Peter Siddle has 213 wickets, passing Hughes. He moves into 13th spot for all Australians. So, you consider that Siddle has been out of the side for a couple of years, and yet he still is in the top 13 bowlers to bowl for Australia in terms of wickets taken. And this is his 63rd Test match. Hughes played 53, so he was more efficient in terms of strike rate by about. Yeah, he took his wickets a fraction more economically, but all the same, a good moment for Pete Siddle. Stark around the wicket, Asad Shafiq leaving outside the off stump.
Couldn't be physically more different, could they? But they're similar types of bowls in as much as they're just workhorses, aren't they? Just good, honest Victorians like myself, Colo.
Speaking of Victorians,
Victorians,
I got some breaking news for a Victorian as well. Jeff Lemon passes me his phone. Someone's making a comeback today. Another Victorian fast bowler, James Pattinson, in the Victorian second 11 in the what do they call it? The Futures League.
Oh, that's great news.
Made a ton. He's on 100 not out of 132 balls.
Hang on, he's made a comeback, but is he bowling in the game?
He's not. He's batting. He's playing as a batsman.
Right, okay.
But all the same, Mitchell Stark, 2 slips in a gully. Shafiq defending back to the bowler. James Pattinson is on 100 not out of 132 balls as Victoria move to 7 for 282. I don't know who they're playing, but I do know that's important.
Could have a change of roles, a bit like those drummers who become singers in rock and roll and soul music, like Marvin Gaye and Phil Collins, people like that.
Yeah, no, Phil Collins started out as a drummer. I feel like I should have known that, but there you go.
Yeah, you don't need to know much about Phil Collins, mate. And that bloke from Nirvana, he's more your skill, isn't he, David Grohl?
Oh, come on.
No.
Stark around the wicket once more. Asad Shafiq digging out a full ball, gets to it nicely. Nathan Lyon does the tidying up. 2-6-1 for 4.
So impressed.
Sorry, mate, I just got at the end of the overs. 98 overs gone. This first session brought to you by Misbah Super. Whether you're on the tools or in the office, Misbah Super is building a future we can all be proud of. For more, visit misbahsuper.com.au. I cut you off.
You did, yeah. Cut my train of thought. But fantastic to see Starkey recover so well. You're watching, like, you almost needed to be carried off last night, didn't he? He was in real trouble with that cramping, and I was concerned that he had a slight groin strain the way he was grabbing at the groin, but showed up at breakfast this morning and said, no, I was cramping in the groin, never happened before, but Tim Payne says that it's happened to him as well. Fresh and bowling really well again. That was a heroic effort yesterday.
Here's Siddle around the wicket. Harris gets underneath the bounce, and it would have hit him in the helmet, I reckon. That was right on the money.
Or
just
the knee.
Underneath. Oh, yeah, that is to say, in his batting stance maybe on the helmet, because he was getting down really low. So I wouldn't call it variable bounce, but
just didn't get up at all. Did it? Just almost hit him on the shoulder, and he'd been gone LBW. Yes,
Sachin Tendulkar.
Oh yeah, just got under that. It's very flexible. Well done.
Nice take. Very nice take from Tim Payne as well. Having to get down low, that would have been 4 byes had he not got the left mitt involved at the last possible moment. Siddle again goes with the short ball. A more conventional take for Payne on this occasion. So they're still getting the ball to move around.
Yeah, they are. It's moving. It's moving, and it's as soft as a sponge. So, while it's not dangerous to the batsman, it's very difficult to score and promotes frustration, doesn't it? So it's good to get rid of the night watchman early, because they can be a real pebble in your shoe, can't they?
Sure
in a game
can.
of cricket.
So Stark yesterday, Pete, I know you know a bit about this. We spoke about this before. Siddle, one slip, a gully, catches in front of the wicket, bowls to Harris Hale, who defends back down the track. Pickle juice. It's been a topic of conversation over the last couple of years. The Australians love it. What's going on there? Bazid Khan was asking us what the deal was, and I couldn't answer him. But you're the sort of guy, you say, I know my numbers. You know your pickle juice.
Mate, I'm just recovering from the era of the metrosexual Australian cricketer, and now I discover that we've got hipster cricketers who are drinking freaking pickle juice. But love to all my friends at Cornersmith Cafe who serve it. Hang on.
We'll come back up after this Peter Siddle delivery. Harris Hale around the wicket, defending out to cover. A bit of movement again in towards the left-hander. So Siddle's got one to go away and one to come back in this over. So it does still do something late. Not a bad move keeping the old ball this morning.
You're not going to be rushing to change it, are you? Really? I mean, what does the new ball do for you? It doesn't swing, and it makes it easier for the batsman to score. So there's little advantage in getting the new ball. And
it reinforces the Tim Payne narrative about needing to be as boring and dry as possible. Like the old ball lends itself to slower cricket. The new ball might speed things up, and it's not where they're at right at the moment, the Australians. Trying to ball Pakistan into a mistake. Siddle delivers around the wicket. Shafiq pushes to cover, no run. So pickle juice. We know it's fashionable, but it's got broader utility out there in the field.
Well, apparently it stops you cramping. But Starkey wasn't using it yesterday, but they did get it. He used it afterwards, he said. A bit late. But they swear by it out there. It's interesting. I'll say to Nathan Lyon after play, somebody should monitor how much liquid you take on in a day. He said, well, I lose 3 kilos.
Blimey.
Yeah. And I think Sid's lost 3.5.
Wow. He's bowling here, Siddle. It's full. Asad Shafiq again on the front foot, pushing to extra cover, no run. Another very tidy over from the Victorian. 99 overs gone in this innings. Pakistan 261 for 4. Wisdom.com Test Match Cricket with Adam Collins and Peter Lawler. Brought to you this first session by Misbah Super, building a future we can all be proud of.
I don't reckon Tim Payne wants to bowl Mitchell Starc too much more. He's bowled 25 overs. bowled quite a few yesterday. I think about 19, didn't he, yesterday? That's too many on the first day. Payne was a bit anxious about that. But it showed you how well he was bowling. And it was interesting to note that Hafeez said he was the most difficult bowler all day yesterday. He hasn't got reward for it yet. We're all giving him an elephant stamp for being a hero. But as I say that, he's running into bowl his 26th over with Asad Shafiq on strike and yet to get off the mark after facing 10 deliveries. It is hard to get off the mark when the ball's moving and when it's a sponge.
Okay, so 2 slips in the gully around the wicket, hides it into delivery stride, strikes it well, Shafiq, but only as far as point, no run. So being held down nicely here. He's faced 11 balls yet to score.
And Siddle spoke yesterday too about, there is always more stress on the first day of a series. You build it up so much, you don't realise you're doing it. And we all remember how much. Remember Hazelwood on debut in Brisbane?
In Brisbane, yes, of course. And
a lot of that is the nervous energy that you spend on the first, particularly on your debut, but on the first day of a test. There's so much goes in and funnels into that moment, and sort of, as I said, nervous energy.
Absolutely.
Stark physical energy.
On his way, bowls wide of the crease, swaying out of the way is Asad Shafiq. I remember Billy Stanlake suffered it as well in a one-day international at Brisbane a couple of years ago on his home ground at the Gabba.
Has he got muscles to cramp? I thought he was just a skeletal structure.
He was just spent.
Was he? Yeah.
Bill, he just didn't get through the whole journey of the 10 overs that day, or that evening, I should say.
I can see a new publishing opportunity opening up here. The cricketer's book, diet book. If you can lose 3.5 kilos in a day, and Hanscom, I think, infamously lost 5.5 sticks
in Chittagong last year.
Yeah, so
here comes Stark, hiding the ball wide of the crease. Shafiq down the leg side, misses out on claiming some easy runs. No contact made. It remains 261 for 4. Yeah, you're spot on there. I mean, we talk about cricketers' dietary interests frequently, don't we? Especially when it comes to Peter Siddle and Adam Zampa, Kane Richardson, Nick Maddinson, all vegan. Jason Gillespie, of course, as well, a former cricketer from Australia. So
that's where Mervyn Sid's depart past, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen Merv in the vicinity of a vegetable. He's quite alarmed by their presence.
Stark. So Shafiq, who defends.
It's really
solid.
Good the way that he hides that delivery, isn't it? Hides the ball on the way in.
He's the
clever.
Yeah, on his day, he's the best reverse swing bowler going around on when it's going. We saw the damage he did in Durban back in March. Feels like a million years ago, doesn't it? That Durban Test match where Australia won. Stark was just outstanding, particularly in the evening sessions when he was able to bowl to batsmen who just couldn't handle 150 clicks, swinging both ways, reversing. Funny that.
And particularly difficult for the new batsman to the crease.
So Stark to Shafiq, who again defends competently with the elbow nice and high out to cover, no run. So Nathan Lyon's warming up, rolling out the back at deep point.
Outstanding yesterday, Nathan Lyon. Around that 6th hour, coming down, having drinks, you could just see the mental energy he put in to presenting himself on the field as alert, alive, in the game. Don't show any sign of fatigue at all. It's kind of like when you get hit, don't rub it. You just don't show you're tired. He just ran in with such vigour.
Stark. So Shafiq, short of a length, he punches out to mid-wicket, but there's no run on offer. So 100 overs bowls in the Pakistan innings. They're 261 for 4. Haris Sohail is 21. Asad Shafiq yet to score from 14 balls. This first session brought to you by Seabus Super. They're investing in major projects around the country through Seabus Property. This is not only creating jobs, but it's building a future we can all be proud of. For more, visit seabussuper.com.au.
Is that where you're paying my money to the Seabus Super account, are you?
Yeah, is that where your fund is?
Well,
in a good industry fund? Of course, a member of the broader industry fund story that they tell. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about that in greater depth later in the Test match. Peter Siddle is going to go again. So what's this? Must be his 6th over of the morning.
It's his 21st over of the match.
2 for 27, 10 maidens along the way. Economical as ever. Around the wicket, Siddle. Sohail defending out to mid-off. Pete, I wanted to ask you about your yarn Pete, you've written about Matthew Renshaw over the last couple of days, and his exclusion has been speculated upon. I did a couple of interviews this morning. It was the first question I got. What's going on with Matthew Renshaw? Why is he not playing for Australia? The answer we got before the Test match from Tim Payne was that it was a combination of the head knock and not just quite being ready with red ball cricket.
I think it was pretty strong on he hadn't played enough cricket.
Hadn't played enough, wasn't it? Yeah. So Siddle operating from our end, bowls here to Harris Sohail, who punches again towards mid-wicket, but again, no run. Siddle maintaining this very straight line.
I reckon there's more to it than that.
So you've written there's more to it?
Well, yeah, I have, and there's a little bit of a quibble coming back from CA this morning, not from Langer just yet, but I'm sure when he tracks me down he might want to quibble. But I watched, well, you saw that too.
We were together.
Yeah, that's what triggered it in my mind. I thought there's something not... The coach and he haven't quite gelled, I suspect. I think... There's a suggestion he's slightly immature, and I think that his attitude's got up Dustin Langer's nose a little bit, and I'll just wait for this delivery.
There's no slip now. They've moved the second mid-wicket. Siddle bowls to Sohail, who punches out to cover, does get a run this time, evading the fielder in close Nathan Lyon, tidying up, running in from the rope, so that moves the score along to 262 for 4.
Interesting, those field positions, aren't they? Those two catching men at mid-wicket, and only one at cover at the moment, but that's that sign of the soft ball, hard to get away, swinging, hard to score.
So Pete, I spoke to Matt Renshaw for Wisden Cricket Monthly a couple of months ago, and he reflected on that streak of his where he may have said things that were not always well timed inside the change room in his first stint in Test cricket. He openly talks about that, and that David Warner gave him a bit of a hard time in that era as a result of that. Siddle bowls, Shafiq defends. He actually said that he was grateful that Dave did pull him up and did provide that counterbalance, if you like, because I don't know if he's necessarily the right man to be giving that advice, but he takes a positive spin of it, shall we say?
Yeah, that's what I say to my kids. I don't want you to be like me, but you do it, Dad. Yeah, well, I'm the last person you should be like.
But what we saw out here on the day before the Test match, they flogged Renshaw. That he was doing fielding practice of an intensity that I've never seen. It was, I don't know how many balls in a row he was forced to field in an outfielding drill, but he walked off broken,
staggered. He didn't. Yeah, he was. I've never seen
full ball to Shafiq, who defends again, back to the bowler,
drifting in, isn't it? That delivery, it's nice. It's good to watch this.
So you've seen that. You've been triggered by that. That is to say, you've seen that.
I'll put feelers out, and I've heard there's definitely he's irritated. Langer.
Okay.
Langer will deny it, mate. Possibly. I don't know. But he hasn't. He's not speaking the coach's language. Labuschagne said, "I'll do anything to play for Australia." Remember when he got picked?
Yes,
for Australia A.
Absolutely. So it's Siddle. Shafiq strikes him on the pad. Half a shout from Siddle, but no real support from Payne behind the wicket. That's the end of his over. 262 for 4 with Sohail 22. Shafiq still yet to get off the mark. He's faced 19 balls. So he's came into the side. Langer's taken over the side, and they haven't quite been singing off the same song sheet.
Yeah, I think JL wants to slap him down a little bit and toughen him up. Let's look at this. I think until July, Renshaw was the highest scoring first class batsman in the world. He was the leading run scorer in Sheffield Shield cricket last year.
Yep.
He goes to county cricket, which is your area. Yep. From memory, he hits 3 tons. Not only does he hit 3 tons, he shows that he's got another gear finally.
He made a century in a session on a green top in the second round after making 100 on debut.
Just pinned the ears back, which no one knew he was capable of.
That's right, and he averaged 55 in that stint from memory and did all the right things. They loved him down there at Taunton.
So what's the message going out when they're talking about picking the Test squad is, you've got to have been scoring runs, you've got to have been scoring hundreds. Or 30s, if you ask some people. He's done all that. He's ticked every box. He's filled them in. He's met every requirement. And now they're saying he didn't play enough cricket. Well, how much cricket has Sid played in the last month or two?
Yeah.
Not about the same.
So, around the wicket here.
Anyway. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's Mitchell Marsh coming on for his second twist of the game. He got 1 over yesterday, but he's on from the Emirates straight end. That first ball did a bit back towards Harris Sohail, who shouldered arms, but watching on the replay, it looks like he generated quite a bit of movement there. So watch this space.
Too short, didn't he?
Yeah, watch
too
this
short
space.
and wide. If you can get that up, he might be harvesting at the edge of the bat. Just watching that again. Yep.
So we've got a stat in from CricViz about this particular topic, which is worth reflecting on.
He's a nice fellow, CricViz. Is he a fellow?
There's several of them. They're all about 23 years old, and they're all absolutely brilliant. We love them in there. Mitchell Marsh around the wicket, defended into the covers by Sohail. Only 3 players in the Test squad average 50 against spin. That's Sean Marsh, Tim Payne and Matthew Renshaw. So, again, it would suggest that he's got the right sort of game to prosper in this part of the world, as well as the body of work he presented earlier in the year for Queensland and then for Somerset.
And I really like him as a batsman. I was talking to Mickey Arthur, and he said that he reminds him of a young Graham Smith.
Yeah, right.
The way he approaches, and I mean, that's a fair rap, isn't it?
Certainly
It doesn't mean he's an ugly at the crease, but...
Here's Marsh bowling to Sohail, who's steering this behind point. Nice shot. You'll get at least one. They'll look for a second, and they will not take on John Holland's arm. They're happy with the single. It's 263 for 4. That's Sohail moving to 23 from 90 balls. So they're trying to bore Australia as much as Australia are trying to bore them.
Well, that shows you how difficult it is to score out there. Shafiq hasn't scored off 19 deliveries.
Yeah.
Great work by the bowlers and good work by the field too. Well done, Tim Payne, on that field too.
Pete, on that Renshaw topic, remember before the first Ashes test last year when it was Bancroft versus Renshaw, essentially?
Yeah.
Langer wasn't overly complimentary about Renshaw, if memory serves me correctly.
Correct.
I don't know. There are a few things in there, aren't there? As Marsh bowls here to Shafiq down the leg side.
Well, look, to be fair to Justin Langer, what he said at that stage when he was Western Australian coach was that my fella's putting him under pressure.
Yeah.
I didn't really overstep the line. I think Brett Jeeves wrote a pretty full volume piece about that was out of line. But anyway,
Renshaw felt, again, this comes from the chat I had with him back in July, that when he was sent to Brisbane to face the 3 big Australian quicks after a Shield game, he didn't get out to them in the nets. He thought he was all good. Then he was dropped and he was gutted. He thought he was good to go for the summer. So this Marsh bowls. Oh, that comes back off the seam again. It does enable Shafiq to get off the mark, but not in the most convincing fashion. There was an inside edge involved. So after 21 balls, Shafiq is off the mark. So Marsh immediately asking the right kind of questions with this old ball that's 101.5 overs old.
Gee, I'd like to get a look at that ball up close, because watching it run off across the grass there, one side of it's just white, isn't it? It's just pale. I
don't know if there's any seam left on it, but Marsh has found it 3 times this over. Yeah, this is a very good set. Can he finish it off? There's an opportunity with a gully to catching mid-wickets. Around the wicket to Harris Sohail. He delivers wide of the crease. Finds the edge. It'll go down for 4. Admittedly, more than almost certainly would have bounced before second or third slip, but all the same, advantage Marsh. Excellent over. Pakistan move on to 268 for 4. Sohail is 27. Shafiq is 1. This first session brought to you by Misbah Super. For everyone in building and construction. And after a couple of words from Peter Lawler, it will be Jeff Lemon.
Well, that workhorse Peter Siddle, who we started talking about when we came on air, he's back for another over. That's why he's in the side, because he just loves the work, Sid. I think he's a sucker for punishment. Kind of a hair shirt sort of guy, a bit like you, Jeff. You strike me as a bloke who likes punishment.
Well, yeah, the knotted rope, beat yourself over the shoulders.